Welcome to another Step Up and Pitch It production. What to know about extras and casting. Step Up and Pitch It seeks to keep the community informed on our exciting and growing literary, film, and television industry. We do this by offering exciting workshops and training in the areas of arts and education. After we conclude this chat today, we hope you have gained some insight on what it takes to become an award-winning actress or actor. I am Minister Jennifer Denise Walton, your host today, and I am a producer, a photographer, small business owner, educator, and speaker. I am currently a board member of the nonprofit Infused Intelligence and Culture Incorporated, where I invest my time in the development of creatives. I delved into the creative world as a producer of the Helen Hayes nominated stage play Blackberry Days and co-produced the Step Up and Pitch It 1.0 Summit event, which continues to be a resource in educating and training persons interested in film, television, and the media industry. We welcome all of you all today, and we thank you so much for joining us for this forum. And we are excited to have you all here today. Though we are dealing with a global health pandemic, Atlanta is still where movies are being made. Georgia is now one of the leading destinations for filming in the world. So much so that we are called the Hollywood of the South. In 2016, we surpassed California as the state which films the most movies and television shows. We are known in Atlanta as Hotlanta, the ATL, the Dirty South, and like I said before, the Black Hollywood. And we are the center of the film industry in Georgia, with so many studios here, including Tyler Perry, EUE Screen Gems, Trilent, which was formerly Pinewood Atlanta Studios, and so many more. The economy here in the state of Georgia benefits from the film and television industry with the economic impact of almost $10 billion. So you see, this is the place you want to be. And we have an exciting group of panelists here today. We have an acting coach, Tonia Jackson. We have two casting directors, Cathy Reinking and Patrick Ingram. And we want you to sit back, relax, and take in all of this information. And you can send us questions because we are here to answer your questions. We pray that at the end of this video chat that we can assist you in your goals of becoming an actor. So here we go. Let me introduce our outstanding panelists to you. We have Miss Tonia Jackson. She is an acting coach with 30 years of experience in regional theater. She's an activist also, so we're also going to talk to her about that today. She is a TCG Fox Fellow. And if you don't know what that is, she receives that from the Fox Foundation as a resident actor. And it comes from the Theater Communications Group. She has also appeared on Outer Banks, Atlanta, Greenleaf, and Black Lightning. Next up, we have Cathy Reinking. She is a casting director with over 20 years of experience working with some of the top networks in the industry. She has hundreds of credits to her credit, including Frasier, Arrested Development, According to Jim, and she was the manager of casting at NBC when The Office was created. As I said, she has worked for all the major networks, NBC, CBS, ABC, the CW, and the Fox. And this is something you need to know also. She is an author. But one of the books I want you to focus on today that she has written is entitled How to Book Acting Jobs 3.0 Through the Eyes of a Casting Director across all platforms. So stay tuned and be ready to engage her. And last but not least, we have Patrick Ingram, who is also a casting director. He has been in the industry for about 15 years. And about 10 years ago, he came up with this bright idea to start his own casting agency. And the title of that agency is Extra Casting Atlanta. He formed that about 10 years ago. His casting agency has a distinguished list of clients, which include AMC's The Walking Dead, the film Fear Street. He's done Netflix Sweet Magnolias, and AMC's Shutter's Creep Show, Stomp the Yard, and X-Men First Class, to name a few. Despite the shutdowns here in Georgia and around the world due to COVID-19, Georgia has still managed to produce some films and television shows this year. So we're going to move on now and move to some questions we hope will help you all gain some knowledge that you need to move through this television, film, and media industry here in Atlanta. Sit back and relax, and also send your questions in for us to assist you in whatever knowledge you're trying to attain. So the first question I have here today, and anyone can home in on this, what is more important, training or just raw talent?
That's a I mean, I'm old fashioned, so I'm saying training.
Okay.
And if you want to train with the best, it'd be Tonia, because Tonia's not only an acting coach, she is one of the best actresses I've ever seen on a stage or in a film that I've ever seen. So she's more than just an acting coach.
Okay. Well, Tonia, can you parlay on that question for us?
Definitely. I piggyback off what Cathy's saying. Definitely training. I mean, there's people who have raw talent, but you don't want to be flailing all over the place. Like, you want to know how to hone it. You don't want to eat up the seam. Like, there's so many things that you need to do. That I think just having the raw talent, just forming it into something where you're actually a craftsman. I mean, anyone can get out there and jump out there and act, but how do you craft a character? When people look and they see somebody that's quite magnificent, you don't even know what that is, but I can bet you that they have training and that they know how to craft a performance. Just like a painter, he starts with a blank slate, and then you make this beautiful piece of art, hopefully. So it's the same thing. That's the way I look at it. Definitely training.
Okay. Patrick?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say from my end, from the extras world, I mean, sometimes just getting out there and getting on set and doing these jobs is the training within itself, and at least figuring out, if you can handle being in front of the camera and, things like that. So it definitely, I mean, it'll take a ton of training. I mean, we run into people that have raw talent, of course, but it always, I mean, it definitely, even the ones that we come across that are the most talented, it always takes some work. So, I mean, I'd say anyone with training can make it happen, and so.
Okay. Now, this question is for you, Ms. Jackson. If someone signed up for one of your acting classes, what would they learn or experience, and what skill sets would they acquire?
Well, that depends, because the thing about me is that when I do workshops, I bring in a bunch of people, so you're going to get a lot. And when you work with me, like Cathy said, I'm an actor first. And so from that place, I've been doing it for 30 years, so I'm going to go from my experience. And I always treat people individually. I don't have this blanket coaching thing that I do where everybody comes in and we do the same thing. I would never do that, because people are coming in with something different. One person might be coming in just because they need to, they're training for an audition. Somebody might come in and have no experience and want to figure out where to go. Some people are trying to get agents. Some people need 6 sessions. Some people need 2. It just depends on the skill set and who the individual person is.
Okay. Now, once you talked about an agent, what does it take to get a good agent?
Oh, Cathy, I mean, that's
Cathy, take it away.
Like, I mean, I'm going to say for an actor, there's so many ways. Like there.
Okay.
Go ahead, Cathy. Yeah, that's.
It's just, Atlanta is as competitive, if not more, than LA and New York now. So the acting pool is really terrific. So the agents here are very particular, and you really have to have not just really credits already, which is kind of hard to get without an agent, but you have to have content. So you might have to create your own content to show what you can do. Because if you're waiting just for auditions and then that's going to be your demo reel, that doesn't really work anymore. It's like you're going to have to, create your own content to show, on a demo reel what you can do, because you can't get an agent anymore without a demo reel unless you're a kid.
Right. And that's true. And you know, for me, every single, like when Cathy said old school, that made me think every single agent that I've ever gotten was because they saw me on stage.
Okay.
I promise you, and something I didn't know. I'm with People Store, and I didn't know until I went in there, and there was I think it was Brian. He was like, "Oh my God, I saw you," you know. And before I could, you know, I was so happy. I was like, "Okay, well, hopefully they'll bring me on," you know. But that's what it's been about. Like Cathy's saying, now you have to have rolling content. I can send them whatever, but if they're sitting there in the seat and they're watching me, you know, do my thing, that's the way I've always gotten.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because honestly, that's might be more important, is to be just performing all the time in plays, in improv shows, in stand-up. You need to be performing live, like you were saying, and that gets you an agent as well. And you have to be brilliant. You really do have to be brilliant to get them to be moved to sign you.
Especially in this market, it's different here. So you really, that's why, like, here in Atlanta, I was like, yeah. I mean, I do film and TV, but it's been theater. That's what it is for me.
Okay. Now we have some people that say they have trained and they think they have the talent, but they're still having trouble getting an agent. What advice would you give them if they have gone through the training and the preparation and still aren't?
I could say on my end, it comes up a lot for at least the extras that are, you know, that are talent. There's a, you know, in the extras world, it can vary. You know, some people aren't necessarily trying to be actors, but the ones that are, it's come up because people, you know, I mean, that's a lot of times, you know, it's still rare, but, you know, an extra will get upgraded on the day and end up getting a line, and then they'll start trying to get an agent. But then, they have a hard time because even though they might be SAG eligible or can get in there, they don't have enough experience. And there are, even with as busy as it are, you know, now that, I mean, of course, COVID, I know it's a little trickier, but there's so many small theater groups and improv, and there's other things, there's ways that you can get out there and build tons of experience before you necessarily, you know, I mean, have that big job. But there are things that you can do to really get out there and act besides being an extra that I think would definitely help to boost it.
That's true.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, who wants to, and I guess all three of you all can do this. A lot of people have moved to Atlanta because they hear it's the hot spot. Things are happening here. Yeah. The film, you know, in the 90s, we had the music industry that was booming here. And now we have the movie and TV industry booming here. What advice would you give somebody, and explain the process of getting cast for television, film, theater? And now we have commercials and the internet, and now you have YouTube and all these streaming platforms. So just give us an idea of what the process is from maybe somebody that's a novice or even somebody that has a little bit of experience. Just kind of explain that process to them, because we want to make sure the people that leave today have some idea of what it takes.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think right now, the big thing that you can do right now during COVID is, again, create your own content. So if you already are performing like at church or in theaters and stuff, you can also start making videos of yourself. You can write yourself a role, you can write yourself a monologue, and then tape that. And that's actually getting seen. Like, casting directors and top producers and directors are actually, you know, going on social media, especially Instagram, and looking for new people. So, and if you post consistently videos of yourself, you can actually get seen that way and cast that way. If you're really revealing of your own self, if you're very strong in those videos, you can actually get seen that way. And that's free. That's totally free. And you can do it in your home.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you all that, because I want the audience to get to know you all a little bit. Just give me a glimpse of your journey in this field, in this industry, from where you maybe were in college, and when did you decide you wanted to be in this industry, and just kind of your journey, give us the good and the ugly.
You don't have enough time for the good and the ugly. Come on, now.
Well, we want the bad and the ugly, because they need to know how long this process is.
Well, you know, for me, I started out, I mean, I don't understand, and I'm not telling anybody not to do this, but it picked me. I would not pick this. This is not something that I would have picked, and I mean that. That's not something I'm just saying to be cute, for real. Okay. I mean, I've been an artist just because I have a soul of an artist. It was a calling. right? I started off as a young little writer, and when stuff didn't go my way, I was like, well, I'm going to write it the way that I think it should be written. I've always organized. I went to the Goodman School of Drama. In 1989, I got my first professional gig at Steppenwolf Theater Company in Grapes of Wrath. I've been doing regional theater all over the country. I'm a Penumbra Theater Company member of about 25, maybe 30 years. Worked all over the Midwest, Guthrie Theater, all around. I do film and TV. I mean, I'm an activist, all those things. You know, I'm just an artist. I've been rolling around here just doing this, putting in work, grinding, trying to be, a generative artist where people aren't hiring me. I need to create my own, like Cathy talked about, whether it's teaching, whether it's trying to get grants in order to get my stuff to roll out. Yeah.
Okay. So when did you transition to television and movies?
Actually, I've been in Atlanta 14 years, about 10 years ago. I mean, I've done it before, but the other places that I was living, like they didn't have it like they did here. Like here, you don't have a choice. I mean, you're not going to be able to survive just doing theater. And I can go from back to back to back to back to back. It doesn't matter. You have to be able to do film and TV, theater. If you can teach or coach or write a resume, you better do it all. And one thing that I tell people when they say they want to move to Atlanta, I said, look, you better have a grind. Because it is not easy. Just because it's Atlanta, you have to have 13 or 14 things at all times and trying to keep the balls in the air. It's not a game. It's really not.
Okay. Cathy, would you like to tell us about your journey?
Yeah, that's very well put, Tonia. Just Atlanta, New York, LA. Those are all equal now. And Atlanta might be more. So it's not like, it's easier I can get credits in Atlanta and then maybe I can move to LA or New York. That's not the case. It's equal footing. My journey is I've always been just obsessed with actors. I've been obsessed with movies and going to theater, and I had a chaotic childhood, and out of that pain, I was able to be relieved of it, to have a cathartic experience every time I saw a really good actor or a play or a TV show. That's how I survived my life. So I've always been studying actors, like what makes one actor more charismatic than another? What draws us to someone? Like I've been studying that my whole life. So then being a casting director was like a perfect job for me. It was a dream job for me to go into because it used all the skills I'd already been training, like inadvertently training for since I was born. And I also have a theater degree from UCLA, and I always wanted to be a theater director, which is good for casting because you're directing theater, or at least you were before self-tapes took over everything, which is kind of sad. But we used to direct actors in an audition room, which again took the skills that I had already honed. So that's how I started, and then I've had to reinvent myself a lot. Okay. In the industry, you really have to have a lot of hyphens to sustain yourself in the industry. Like my biggest fear is I would have to go work at Target or Lowe's or something to make a living. But if you're really, really inventive and you go with the flow and you can create yourself anew all the time, you can actually make a living at it. But it's a grind. Like
it's a grind. Yeah.
It's a grind.
Okay. Well, Patrick, you want to hone in on your journey for us?
Yeah, I went to college for journalism. I was looking for more, kind of behind the scenes, like broad type. And right when I had graduated, I actually interviewed with CNN. And then at the same time, I went and was a production assistant on a little movie here in town. Because even before it blew up recently, there's always been a little bit of a film business here. There would be a couple of movies a year rather than, 50 or 100, but still something. So even, that's late 90s, early 2000s, and worked on a movie here and just loved it. So I started kind of bouncing around that like freelance production assistant world, and then met someone that did extras casting. It was just kind of this little niche that you wouldn't have necessarily thought about, but I mean, it's basically everybody that's on camera. So there's crowds, there's all sorts of different things. And I started working for her, and she got tired of it pretty quickly and kind of took over. And then, it was definitely took some reinventing because, at the time when I first started doing it, I mean, there would only be 1 or 2 movies a year. So would find other things to try to, make the year come together and make a living. And, over the last 5 or 6 years, it's just totally changed into this, that I have to turn things down. So it's been nice. And it was unexpected for sure. I just knew I love this industry and kind of just found this little spot that obviously is nothing that was planned for at all. But you know, it's a bit crazy for sure. But it's I enjoy it.
Okay. Well, let's segue into this. People that are trying to get into the industry, a lot of times people tell you to make sure you're kind of in the mix. What's the best way for people to meet industry professionals, for aspiring actors and content writers and that kind of thing? What's a good networking component for them to get into, to meet industry professionals? Or do they need to know the industry professionals to get an advantage?
One of the easy things right now on social media is you can just go follow people that you admire. Like you can follow the casting directors that work in Atlanta. You can go follow anyone you want, really, any big time person. So that helps. So again, if you're just creating content, like if you're out there performing a lot, if you're creating stuff all the time, you will be found. I don't think it helps to just go to like a GPP meeting, and that's Georgia Production Partners, just going to a meeting and then meeting someone, but having no backing, haven't had performed anything. I think that's a little bit tricky. But as long as you're performing all the time in whatever medium, I feel like they will find you. People will find you.
Okay.
For me, I believe in building genuine relationships.
Okay.
We can network and we can do this stuff all we want to. But if you're phony, I mean, it's not gonna, what is it gonna do? I mean, it's only gonna get you so far. All of my relationships that I have with people who have particular connections or may be able to do something for me, or I can do something for them, are definitely genuine relationships. Cathy and I have a genuine relationship. And from that relationship, I was able to get my manager. And that's because it wasn't just like I, got this relationship with her because I needed something. It came out of nowhere. It was very organic. And so that's how all of I'm under the umbrella of True Colors Theater Company with my TCG grant, because Jamil Jude and I have a genuine relationship. And before then, Kenny Leon, I mean, you know what I mean? All the people who are professionals in my life, most of them, I'll say 97% of them, are people who I can say are close associates or friends. And so, or the relationship is just a genuine one. It's just real. That's what helps me. And it always has.
Yeah, and the reason it was a genuine relationship with me and Tonia is because I saw her perform and I was blown away. So that's the connection that I need as a casting person. I need to be moved by someone. I need to be emotionally engaged in a performer. I need to go, they're really good and they need to be in the top, they need to get more work, basically.
And she cast me in a movie. I just thought about the short just now. Yeah. We just did American Leopard. Yeah, and it was just straight to cat. Like I didn't have to audition or anything. So,
yeah. All of your jobs should be that way.
You listen, everybody.
Honestly.
Okay, because we know some people are, what do you call them? Some people feel like they need to show up at certain places and rub elbows with certain people to get where they need to.
No backing. If you got nothing to show for it, then
you can't just be
a random person.
Yeah, yeah. You just coming somewhere to try to, because we're always looking for that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
People know we're like,
you have your eye out for those type of people.
Look, it's too many people, and we're too busy to be bothered with all that. Like, and not saying we don't want to help people, but just say I need help. Like, don't come trying to rub up because you need something. I think that people can see that. It's not genuine. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Now I had one question here from our audience. Where do you go? How do we get started with our training? With training to be an actor or extra? How do you get started with that?
I can say real quick that there's no training needed to be an extra. That's at least one end. You can just, I posted, you can just hit us up, and that's a way. Sometimes it's a way that I find, for other people, and just say real quick that you can come and check it out. And at least on the film and TV end, sometimes people that think they want to do this, they can find out really quickly that they do not, or that they absolutely love it. So it's a great way. And like I said, most of what we post forward and the experience is needed. It's just regular people, and it can be a great way to at least get in there and see, and then, training and talent and other things will certainly come into play after that to move in, but it can be a good way to at least, get out there and see. And sometimes it's busy enough now that, usually people can get in there. Sometimes it can take a little while and take some patience and constantly, putting yourself out there, but it's a good way to at least check it out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you all a question. With the times that we're living in, now, let me ask you this question, since we're dealing with this COVID pandemic. How has the COVID pandemic impacted the movie and film industry, the movie and TV industry right now?
Well, it's impacted the theater industry the most, I think.
Okay.
Because film and TV is going on. Like we're in full blown mode now in Atlanta. That's why I'm busy. That's why I'm busy. That's why Tonia's busy. So that's going full force. And it died down like from March to probably September. And then it's picked up now. It's full blown right now. But the theater, the live in-person theater is not doing anything right now. And it is freaking sad. So, but that doesn't have anything to do with your audience or anything.
Okay. All right. Now, since Atlanta is booming and since we're the number one place for movies being made, would you say that we have an advantage? Do you say Hollywood still has an advantage over Atlanta, or the playing field has been leveled?
The playing field, I feel, coming from LA, I think the playing field is leveled now. I really do. I think it's very hot right now to be, and a lot of actors are moving from LA or New York to come here. It is the hot commodity right now because it's affordable, it's great community. It's an easier way of life from LA or New York. It's just, your life is calmer, and it feels like you get a lifestyle upswing just by moving here, and having the same, spending the same amount on rent. It feels like you've just gotten a raise by moving here.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine that. Now, Patrick, with your casting agency, just let us know what people send you when they're inquiring about your services. Just kind of take us through that process.
Yeah, I mean, that's, for us, it can definitely be different than, an actual acting job, because usually, rather than a headshot or anything, a resume, most of the stuff is going to be, we're just going to want to know what people really actually look like at this particular moment. I said there can be certain things that come up, that occasionally, that are certain, have a little bit or a reaction or something that we need someone to do, and we'll have them submit a quick little audition video. But generally, it's just a nice, clear picture of exactly what you look like and any experience and your sizes. It's easy enough to get in there to get started, for sure.
Okay. All right, Tonia, what age do you start training children? Do you work with children as well as adults?
Yes, I'm actually an acting teacher as well at Utopian Academy for the Performing Arts. So I work with middle schoolers Monday through Thursday. And I've been doing that for 5 years. I have as a matter of fact, one of my kids, again, was in the movie that Cathy cast us in, because he posted a monologue that he had been working on since last year. I posted it on my platform, and people saw it. He got like 1K, like a bunch of views, and Cathy saw it, and they wrote a part for him in the movie. So, and I helped him get an agent. I mean, yes, when I work with kids, if they're really, and I also did work with the industry kids who are already in the industry. So I work really well with them, really, really well. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But if your child, if somebody can't act, I can't help them learn how to, like, if they don't have it at all, I can't make them have an acting career. But what I can do is help hone what they have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Cathy. Now, I read when I was reading up on you that you encourage people to become content creators. And I know you mentioned that earlier in the show. Why do you think that's so necessary?
Because it's too frustrating to have a career where you're just auditioning. You're just auditioning endlessly, and you might book 20% of what you audition for. And that's if you're lucky. So if you really want to perform, being an artist, want to share your story, then you have to take full control over that. and make and create your story. Like, we want to hear other people's stories so desperately. So my big thing is take your own personal story and start creating that in video or in a one-woman show, or just start doing it. Just start doing it. And then you'll be found. That's how Phoebe Waller-Bridge got, Issa Rae got noticed that way, Lena Dunham, John Leguizamo. I mean, there's just an endless array of stars who are stars now who started off doing their own content.
Okay. All right. Let's see, what else can we discuss here? Let me go to the chat room and see what questions we have from our audience. Okay. Now, Tonia, do people need a reference to work with you?
No.
Okay. I think that's all I saw in there. Okay. In light of the recent events that we have seen this year, a lot of the movements and marches and protests, and we were talking about social justice and equal justice and racial justice and all of these things. What changes have you noticed in the industry? Have there been any changes in terms of equality and hiring?
We've been having the conversations, right?
Okay.
In the theater, we had a bunch of meetings and different things where we were, unpacking and talking to the theater companies about the systemic racism that's inside of the institutions. So we've been doing a lot of talking. We see some changes happening, right now. Definitely people are protesting and, doing all the things. I mean, and being artists, that just goes hand in hand. I mean, I've never known it to be any other way, especially in my life, in my career as an actor, activist. But yeah, the conversations are being had. We won't know if any changes will be coming for, maybe a year or so, but I do know that we're talking.
Okay, you're at least talking. That's good. Okay, Cathy, would you want to piggyback on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk going on. What really needs to happen is that content creators have to come from all walks of life. So
Okay.
it can't just be, sorry to be so crude, put it so crudely, but older white guys producing shows. There has to be people at all levels of very diverse group that's creating content, where they hire people or they're doing their own show. They're that's where it needs to come from, is all levels and not just actors. So there's authentic stories now being told. That's my wish, is that there's just going to be more authentic stories and less stereotype roles. That's what I'm looking for you.
Okay, that sounds good. Patrick, for you?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, more and more. I mean, it's been coming up as far as like on the extras end. And I think it's both. It's in a good thing that there's definitely a real request and need for diversity. But I think, sometimes there's still work to do, because it's been a combo of wanting things to be diverse. And then I think sometimes it also, falls on the extras end, because it kind of gets to the content and people all of a sudden realize that maybe, the cast and some of the other things that they've done, they're like, start looking and they're like, wait a minute, this needs to be diverse. And they're like, well, make sure all the extras are diverse. So, but people are trying. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely feel it, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're creating a world in a film, so it's not like it's got to be diverse all.
Exactly.
And the story has to be diverse, too. So
That's true. Okay, well, that was one of my questions I was going to ask you. Is it true that women and seniors and minorities aren't getting the opportunities and challenging roles? I know a lot of times we get roles, but are we getting the challenging roles in TV series and films?
You're not going to get them you've got to create it yourself. It's highly unlikely, because a star of your age is probably going to get it. However, you can break through by showing what you can do.
Okay.
By full control of that. Because we need more stories of just normal people and their issues with aging, or their issues with trans, or their issues, with whatever. Just went blank. But we need more diverse stories, and that's the only way to do it.
Okay. Well, with the recent opening of the Georgia Film Academy in 2015, people have an opportunity to get into this industry. And most of that is on the production end.
Yeah.
But for you all as actors and content creators and writers and that kind of thing, what would you suggest for people when they're thinking about schooling? I know we said it may or may not be necessary, but for somebody that might consider going to school, or to get some kind of training, or to some classes, Tonia, that they might come to you for, what would you suggest here in the state of Georgia or in the Atlanta area in terms of schooling and just getting training?
I mean, they have several places here that, you can take classes. I coach Drama Inc. coaches.
Yeah, Drama Inc. is great.
Drama Inc. If people have agents, the agents normally have like different, cards or pamphlets or people that they know that coach. There's definitely universities. I don't know what the best universities are here. I didn't, you know what I mean? But I know that all of the colleges here, they have theater programs, like Kennesaw or, Spelman or Georgia State, like whatever.
Okay. Yeah, we know about, Spelman and Morehouse and Georgia State, Kennesaw.
Yeah.
I think Clayton.
And SCAD, I mean, I think they have stuff.
But it feels like for an actor, like I think it's best to go into the theater department versus the film and TV department.
Yeah.
Okay.
To get your foundation, because theater really is the best foundation. I find that actors who do theater and perform a lot in person, they just are more comfortable in auditions. They're just better actors for the grind of being in film and TV. And you have to do it all really to make a living. So I do feel like a theater education versus going to film school at UGA. I would say just go to the theater department.
Okay. All righty. Now let us, can you just educate us a little bit about casting calls and auditions and all the different nuggets of the industry? Patrick, since you're so quiet, can you just give us some insight on casting calls and auditions and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'll save the auditions for these ladies that would be more experienced. Like I said, I mean, it's rare for the extras world that auditions are necessary. My type of thing going to come down to a look, and so it's pretty easy. All you have to do is send a picture. We'll blast out. I mean, these days there's all kinds of different media places in Atlanta that have picked up that take and run with stuff with the AJC and all the different radios and TV stations. So it ends up all over the place when we're looking for stuff. And, it's on our Facebook and our website. So as far as our casting calls, it's, sometimes it's pretty generic. We just put things out and let people submit. Sometimes it's super specific and last minute, but it can really vary. And we try to put it out when we have enough time, at least, to try to put it out as many places as we can. And you can find it, a lot of different, in the Georgia Film Office, that, like I said, our Facebook page, of course. And so, and it's literally, and then no audition necessary most of the time. We just need a picture.
Okay. Well, I'm going back to the chat room. I have a question here for you, Tonia. How do people sign up with you for coaching?
I put my email address and my phone number there.
Okay. We'll go back and make sure we get to that.
Okay. My email or my phone number. Just call or email me.
Okay. That'll work. Okay. Well, let's, what else do you all think we need to talk about since we have you all here? I think we've kind of gone over the training and just getting yourself out there. I like the fact, Cathy, that you suggest people do the theater first, if they are thinking about doing acting. Any other suggestions? Now, Cathy, you and Patrick, well, I'll ask this for you, Cathy, since you were in Atlanta looking for talent. What are some of the pitfalls that most people fall into, or what are they lacking when they're trying to navigate this process?
That it's going to be easy, and it's very easy to be an actor because all you have, I mean, it's really hard. It's a hard form. It really is, because you're required to be yourself and to reveal your own self. But a lot of people have trouble with that, to be natural. That's what producers want. They want natural, they want a charismatic person, but not everyone is naturally charismatic. And you can enhance your charisma, but it just takes class, like you said, it takes classes, it takes going out there and performing and tanking, and then going back at it and really finding your sea legs and finding your voice as an actor. That's kind of And you can't do that until you start just going out there and doing it. You can also do improv. You can do stand up when stand up comes back, because stand up doesn't cost anything to do. You don't have to wait on anyone, and you can go tell your story. So I always think that's a really good starting point as well.
Okay. And what about you, Ms. Jackson? What do you see some of the pitfalls for people trying to navigate this industry?
Again, what Cathy was saying, I mean, I think discipline and all the hard work that you have to put in, I think that people don't understand that. They see the glamour and they see people walking around doing blocking, but they don't understand that it takes so much to get up to that point. And like Cathy was talking about, like me as an artist, I've been doing it 175 years, but here's the deal. I had to change everything. I shifted everything because of COVID. Okay. I had to, because I've been an artist for so long, I'm always on the cuff or have my finger on the pulse of what's going on in the industry. So if the industry says, Tonia, look, you're an actor, you're good, you can do all the things, but right now we don't have that. What do I need to do? So I went and I mounted workshops for other younger actresses like myself, trying to navigate and try to figure this out. So we did those. People loved them. We wrote out about 4 of them. Now I'm trying to do something else where I actually went and created a piece, sort of autobiographical about myself. Cool. Trying to survive COVID, mental illness, trying to stay clean, sober, whatever it is people are going through when they're in these boxes, right? So I created my own little thing, and I'm trying to roll it out and see if people will like it, because I have to figure out how to keep things going from the top to the bottom. We don't get a lot of sleep because you're trying to figure out how you can keep the lights on. And I really don't. I have people who come and coach with me. The minute I give them hard work, I know whether they're worth their salt if they don't come back.
Yeah.
They're not going to come back. If I give them an August Wilson monologue, man, you know what I mean? So it just depends on what's happening. So I just know that from the, it's just always been a grind. It's just really, but it's fun. If I didn't like it, if I didn't enjoy this lifestyle, I wouldn't do it. But I'm never going to say, like Cathy said, I think that people think it's easy.
Okay. Well, we have another question here in the chat room. It says, what information would you share concerning indie filmmakers? Would you recommend working with indie filmmakers as a jump start to acting?
If they do what they say they're going to do. I'm sorry.
And can somebody explain what indie, because we're not going to assume everybody knows what we're talking about. Indie filmmakers.
Well, indie has a lot of different kinds.
Exactly.
Like there's indie filmmakers like Paul Thomas Anderson. There's like famous directors who are independent filmmakers. Quentin Tarantino started off that way, But then there's like indie filmmakers doing ultra low budget that have never made a film before, and those are the toughest to work with. Really, honestly, truly indie, low budget. You probably don't want to do those movies because you have to have somebody very strong at the helm with a strong point of view, with a story that you love. Like you can't just take everything because you want to be in a movie. There has to be something that draws you to it. Otherwise, it's just kind of empty.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to do, and I think too, what they may be saying in the question is like, how, if you don't have anything, how do you build a resume? So yeah, so I mean, yes, you can do that stuff, but just know that going in, it's not going to be like if somebody has a budget. Don't think that that's what it's going to be. It's going to be totally different. So yeah, you can put, but it depends. Like Cathy said, you don't want everything on your resume. Just
yeah. And those kind of credits, like credits where we've never heard of, like like truly indie credits don't really mean anything to us, like to the people that are casting The Resident or Stranger Things, or those kind of credits don't really mean anything unless you're a kid. It's always easier when you're a kid or a teenager and you're really talented, but that's why it's just as better to go create your own stuff and show that instead of relying on someone else to make it. And sometimes you never even see that footage. But if you have full control over what you're creating, then you can show that footage, and it's not copyrighted. It's your own stuff.
It is. And I think also what Cathy's saying, I think they much rather see something from a Guthrie or True Colors or an Alliance on your resume, you know what I mean? As opposed to an indie that they've never heard of, because those are reputable places. They know, oh, you've been on the boards, you've been up there on the stage. So we know of the Alliance, we know of Guthrie, we know of True Colors, we know of Broadway, we know of Off Broadway. You have those credits, that's going to speak volumes in you know, whoever who just did something where they had threw together $5 with their phone.
Because even if you're in a play, it might be a small theater and we see it and you're great, we're gonna want to give you work.
Yep.
So it doesn't have to be even at the Alliance. It can be at any smaller theater because it's hard to get into the Alliance, as you know, Tonia. Like it
could be. You're right, Cathy. It could be at a small theater. And a lot of times, if some of us are working, I mean, I've been fortunate. I've just been doing it forever. And so, sometimes when you're in those theater companies, if they're smaller, you'll have people in there who have agents. So their agents will come. And you might get seen in there because, you know, if Tonia Jackson, the People Store, they might come, which they will. Rick comes to see shows. Yeah. You're in a show with me, People Store is going to see you because Rick is coming to support me, period.
Yeah, I love Rick.
And he's the president of People Store.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me ask this question. We have so many platforms now, so many streaming apps and things like that. What would you say would be, is that it creating more opportunities for people with all of the streaming apps and everything that we have available now?
Yes. I had, today is what, Thursday? I've had an audition just about every day this week. And some of the, like I'd say half are on those new streaming apps.
Okay.
Yeah. It's about half an, I mean, yeah. And I like I said, it's been every day. I've had at least 4. And yeah.
You should be auditioning all the time.
I am, but it's gotta land. It's gotta land. It's been some good stuff too. And a lot more in those places. Yeah. So definitely it's a wonderful thing. Make more of them. We love them.
Okay, now Patrick, with you doing with your casting people, are you working with the streaming apps are you doing anything with that?
Yeah, no, it's, you know, I mean, it's all, you know, I mean, it pretty much just about, you know, I mean, anything that would be, but like Quibi that just ended up going under during Corona. I'd done that Kevin Hart show that was, you know, and Die Hard. That was one of the last things I did. They didn't even quite get to close down the office properly. It was that close. They finished, I think, the second week of March. So that would have come up. And then somewhere along the line, like, you know, that their whole platform, you know, Corona basically ended up killing it because it was just these 10-minute shows that, you know, there was not a need for. And it was, but anyway, you know, yes. Easy answer is yes. There's all sorts of stuff that comes up. Half the movies that I've done recently, like there's one Holiday that's on Netflix right now that's doing pretty well that we did last year. So, I mean, most of, I'd say, you know, half to more than half now is all streaming based for anything that I've gotten called for. Okay.
Because I've been enjoying my Fire Stick for about 4 years now. Yeah. And I've added some of the new platforms and I enjoy the new content, like Cathy says, just the new content that is out there now, since we have so many streaming apps. What about commercials and the internet and YouTube? We have YouTube, we have commercials, internet. I mean, there's so many media platforms. What would you all like to say about some of those?
Yeah, there's a lot of commercials being shot here now too, both SAG and non-union. A lot of like there can be commercial that's like a web commercial just for online content, and there could be a national commercial that's going to be on big networks and cable and stuff. So yeah, there's even that going on here. It's easy. Do you ever work on extras for commercials, Patrick? Because there's a lot of.
I do. Yeah, no, it doesn't come up a ton. There's several different producers that end up calling me. So, I mean, it varies. The size of them varies. The one thing that gets me on a lot is a lot of commercials still, at least for broadcast and networks, still prefer SAG, and about 99.5% of what I do is non-union. So, but there are a lot of internet. There was one that I just did that I didn't even realize existed, but it was just a commercial for TikTok. It was only going to be shown on TikTok.
Wow.
So, but they did it really quick. It was like a 15-second one. So yeah, no, there's random things like that that get hit up for all the time.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. I guess I'll give all of you a chance to just give us some parting words and some words of wisdom and some words of encouragement for our audience, because we do have some aspiring actors, people that are interested in being extras. They across the gamut of all age ranges. We have children all the way up to our seniors joining us today. So could you all just give them a word of encouragement in terms of what they need to do and what's available for them as we get ready to depart?
I would say just keep working at it. If it's in your spirit and it's burning up your soul and it's something that you have to do, like breathing, then I would say definitely, figure out different ways in order to put yourself in front of people, or like Cathy's talking about, create your own content. Get your friends together, get whoever together, and just figure it out. But it's a lot of hard work. Be willing to put in the work, and most of the time, the work that you put in, you will get that back. I don't know when that's going to happen. My stuff is like rolling out a lot lately, but I've been putting it in for so many years.
Okay.
To see more stuff come to fruition. But I didn't get out of line. I remember someone, God rest his soul, he told me, just stay in line. If you get out of line, you're going to have to start over. Just stay in line and you'll keep moving up. Stay in line.
Okay, I like that. Stay in line. I'm gonna write that down.
We get out of line.
I'm that there right now. I'm gonna have.
Okay, that's a good one. Stay in line. Okay, you all hear that, audience? Make sure you all stay in line now.
Stay in line. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Cathy Reinking.
Well, along those lines, I would say get in line, and how you can do it if you're a senior, especially. And it's like I hope we didn't discourage all of you from pursuing this, but honestly, get an Instagram account and start making Instagram live videos of you just telling your own story. Like just simple as that. Instagram is very hot right now, even more than YouTube. YouTube tends to be a little bit more about tutorials. Instagram is telling stories.
Okay.
And get an Instagram, and don't be scared of getting on social media, because Instagram is pretty amazing. And just start telling your story, because we need to hear more of those.
Yeah. We definitely do. And I know with most of the teaching and stuff that I do, there's also a healing aspect to it. And I get really personal, and it's between us, because I think that you have to get to the core of the human being, the person, in order to be able to really unleash a beautiful crafted performance. If you don't know yourself, I don't understand how you're going to be able to craft a good performance. If you're scared, you have to do it scared. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Okay. Those are awesome. Okay, Patrick, we're going to let you take us on home.
Yeah, but I actually just to keep it simple, I had posted my link, but in the chat box as well. And I tell everybody, you can go to the Georgia Film and Video Office hotline, and in the bottom corner, it'll say extras opportunities. And that's just something that they've posted. And it's a nice list, because there's a ton of extras casting companies here. When I first started doing this 15 years ago, I was by far the only person in town that did extras casting, but now there are tons, and there's a lot of good resources there. So I posted that link in the chat box, and it's the Georgia Film and Video hotline. And then you'll see it in the bottom corner for extras opportunities, and it's got my info and then a bunch of other companies as well. So just go and start checking that out and following that stuff, and see something you fit for, submit. It might take 10 or 50 times, but eventually sometimes people, plenty of times, the very first time you might get contacted, and it's just a great way to get on set and kind of see it. You'll know pretty quickly if it as I hear from people, you can just tell some of them, it just hits them and they just want to do it more and more, and some of them are like, well, thanks so much, and that was enough. So
okay. you find out quickly whether it's for you or not. Okay. That sounds good. Okay, well, we want to thank you all so much for joining us today. We look forward to engaging with you all and communicating with you all at another time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Okay, I don't know why these people keep sending me. I keep getting texts and everything on my phone. But we thank you all so much. Tonia Jackson, thank you so much for accepting this invitation.
Absolutely.
Cathy Reinking, we thank you so much for accepting this invitation. And Patrick Ingram, we thank you so much for accepting this invitation to join us today. Yeah, we also like to acknowledge Ruth Watson. That's Ruth P. Watson. Who is the founder of the Step Up and Pitch It 1.0. She's the brainchild of this, and she likes to stay behind the scenes. But we thank her for creating this. She's always concerned with helping people and giving them opportunities, and we thank her for this forum today. We also like to thank our technician, Lydia, for keeping us on point here. Thank you, Lydia, so much. And we thank you, audience, again for joining us. Please subscribe to Step Up and Pitch It so you can get notifications on our future events. I think we have an event coming up in November. Miss Ruth likes to stay busy, and she likes to continue to educate and extend knowledge to our community. So once again, we thank you all so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.